Hi, very good morning. So, this is a Supreme Court judgment on Consumer Protection Act. Many times I used to wonder why all cases must go to Supreme Court. Why can't it be decided at the High Court level or from at the NCDRC level? Somewhere it should stop because Supreme Court is having so many cases. Important cases are there. It is unable to discharge its functions. It is finding it difficult, extremely difficult for it. But this case proves that the case going to Supreme Court is definitely you get a wonderful judgment. That is what I feel. The citation is Shriram Chits India Private Limited versus Raga Chand Associates. All of us know Shriram Chits is a registered chit fund company. The complainant, that is Raga Chand Associates, subscribed to the chit for a chit value of rupees 1 lakh, meager amount according to us. That is payable at the rate of rupees 2500 per month for 40 months. The chit business was closed in 1996. Then the RA, Raga Chand Associates, hereafter I will say RA, he is the complainant or complainant, I will say. The complainant went and requested Shriram Chits to refund the amount, whatever he has paid in installment. The chit company refused to pay, saying that, sorry, you have some pending dues, hence we will not give. The RA went and filed a complaint in the district commission. He is not refunding my money. Please order him to refund my money. There is a deficiency in service. The Shriram Chits was the OP there, opposite party. They said, no, this complaint itself is not maintainable because the service was availed for a commercial purpose by RA. The district commission, instead of examining whether the service was availed for commercial purpose or not, it decided erroneously that the consumer falls within the definition clause of person and hence he is eligible for this refund amount, and it ordered some compensation also. Then Shriram Chits went to State Forum. There also they lost. They went to NCDRC. There also they lost. The wonderful thing is neither the district commission nor the state commission or the NCDRC decided on the point raised by Shriram Chits. That is whether the RA, that is the complainant, obtained the services for commercial purpose or not. This question has not even been addressed by all the three forums. So the matter reached Supreme Court. Shriram Chits filed it in Supreme Court. Supreme Court says it's a wonderful judgment because the definition of consumer has been divided by Supreme Court into three parts. First part, according to Supreme Court, sets out the jurisdictional prerequisite for a person. That is, there must be purchase of goods or services for consideration. This is the first part, jurisdictional aspect. Second part is exclusive clause. That is, it has the effect of excluding a person from the definition of consumer. That is, if a person has obtained the goods or services for the purpose of resale or for a commercial purpose, this is the exclusion part, second part. Third part is exception to the exclusion clause. That is, it relates to, it limits the scope of commercial purpose. That is, commercial purpose does not include person who bought goods exclusively for the purpose of earning his livelihood by means of self-employment. So, the consumer definition has been divided into three parts by the Supreme Court. First part is jurisdictional, whether you bought the goods or services for consideration. Second part is exclusion part, that is, if you did you buy it for a commercial purpose. Third is exception part, that is, if it is for the purpose of earning your livelihood by means of self-employment. These are the three parts in that definition. Generally, Supreme Court noted all service providers invariably take the plea that the complainant, whoever is complaining against them, is avail the services for commercial purpose. This they will take. Now, the manner in which consumer forums must decide the technical piece, that is what has been addressed by the Supreme Court. Supreme Court says the onus that the person bought goods or services for consideration rests on the complainant. First part, you must prove, whoever has bought the goods or services must prove that I bought the goods or services for consideration. The second exclusion clause. Second part is invoked by the service provider because he says, no, no, you bought the goods or services for commercial purpose. So, Supreme Court says the one who pleads must prove. Since it is always the service provider or seller of goods who pleads that the complainant is not a consumer, it is for the service provider or seller of goods to prove the same. The reason is CP Act is a consumer friendly and beneficial legislation intended to address the grievance of consumers. A negative burden cannot be placed on the consumers. Supreme Court went on to hold what is the standard of proof that is required to be proved by the service providers or by the seller of goods. The standard of proof has to be measured against preponderance of probabilities. That is what Supreme Court says. Once the service provider or the seller of goods discharges its burden, then the onus will shift to the consumer. Then only at that point, once he proves that it is bought for commercial purpose, then only it will shift to the consumer. Which is the third part. That is, the question of inquiring into the third part will arise, according to the Supreme Court, only when the service provider or seller of goods succeeds in crossing the second part by discharging the onus. Unless that onus is discharged, the onus does not shift back to the consumer or a complainant. In the present case, Supreme Court held that Shriram Chits has merely pleaded that service was obtained for commercial purposes without any evidence. No evidence has been given. The second part has not been crossed. It is now well settled that a plea without the proof and proof without a plea is not an evidence in the eye of law. Supreme Court says that. The point is, Supreme Court rejected the appeal filed by Shriram Chits on the ground saying that you have not proved that the consumer has has taken the loan for commercial purpose. Since you have not discharged your burden, the case got dismissed. Wonderful judgment by Supreme Court because the way they have analyzed even I personally feel it is not a big thing. District Commission could have analyzed the same way. Everything is in the Act, and I feel that all the members or the judges, they are all well qualified people. So it's not a Himalayan task to interpret this simple definition into three parts and find what is the requirement as per law. Secondly, most importantly, I have seen, because I am arguing in many courts, I have seen none of them is having the knowledge of Supreme Court judgments. I can understand because judgments are tremendous. Every day, every High Court is pronouncing some 20, 30 judgments. It is impossible for a human being to know all the judgments, including the judges. I can bet on that. But at least the judges of the consumer forums, required forums. If you are in consumer forum, you must know the law set down by the Supreme Court in that field. If you do not know even the law, for preponderance of probabilities, there is a judgment. So if you do not even know that law, even if it is not brought to your attention by the advocates, let me assume that it is the duty of the advocate to bring it to the courts, the judgments which are there in that field, occupying the field, the celebrated judgments they call it. Even if they do not bring it, nowadays earlier it was when during my days when I was 25, 30, we used to maintain a big book and write everything below that. Every day we used to write and update the judgments. Nowadays, one click gives you all the judgments. So at least Supreme Court judgments, they must be aware. Is my humble opinion. I am not criticizing. I am only saying for 1 lakh rupees, somebody is supposed to go up to Supreme Court. Really, how much money he has spent and what is the benefit he has got? How much time is wasted by Supreme Court? How much time is wasted by NCDRC also? NCDRC also in this case did not consider the maintainability issue. So these are the things which I have in my mind. Thank you very much. Have a great and wonderful day.